Capena is a town and comune in the metropolitan city of Rome, Lazio region. The town has borrowed its modern name from a pre-Roman and Roman settlement that was 3 kilometers to its north. History. Ancient Capena. The original Capena occupied the plateau of a nowadays uninhabited hill called La Civicucola. Its territory was known in ancient times as the Ager Cappados, which was a Falascan area adjacent to Etruria. It is frequently mentioned alongside Averi, Falerii and Lucus Feronii. Ancient Capena seems to have been ruthlessly sacked by the Romans sometime around 390 BC. Following a long campaign of resistance by the Capenates to the ever-growing influence of Rome in the area, the settlement continued to exist until the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, after which all traces of it were lost. It was not until the pioneering work of Pier Luigi Gaietti in the mid-18th century that Capena's former location was decisively identified. Even then, it took more than 100 years for other historians to reach a consensus that Gaietti had been correct. Recent archaeological studies have revealed that ancient Capena may have retained a vibrant urban life and some degree of regional significance for longer than had previously been believed. Medieval and modern Capena. The site of present-day Capena has been inhabited intermittently since prehistoric times, and archaeological finds dating from the 7th century BC indicate that the inhabitants used a distinctive alphabet for inscriptions written in the Falascan language. Continuous habitation began in the 11th century AD, when the Benedictine monastery of St. Paul, now usually referred to as the Palazzo dei Monaci, was established on the tough outcrop known as La Rocca. The main frontage of the palazzo faces the Piazza del Popolo, the largest public space in Capena. Originally simply called the Piazza, the square was laid out in the 16th century, when its extant clock tower was erected on the north side. The surviving monastery complex dates primarily from the Renaissance era, with extensive modifications in 1851. Despite occasional popular uprisings, the entire village remained under monastic jurisdiction until the fall of the Papal States in 1870, when Leprignano broke away and became an independent municipality. The palazzo continued to be occupied by monks until the end of the 19th century. The former monastery was subsequently used for municipal purposes and as a school until 1930, and was later subdivided and sold to individuals. Capena's population has grown rapidly in recent years, as a result of new residential developments on its outskirts. However, the Centro Storico has remained little changed in many decades, as can be observed from a comparison between contemporary images and the scenes filmed around the Fontana di Porta Nuova in the 1952 movie Toto Colora, and more widely around Capena in the following year's musical film Salute Basie. Geography. Capena is located 26.2 kilometers north of Rome, above the valley of the Tiber. The old quarter stands on a hill overlooking the valley of the Fossa di Morlupo to the west, while the modern district extends into the eastern plain. The neighboring towns are Castelnuovo di Porto, Civitella San Paolo, Fiano Romano, Monterotondo, Morlupo and Rignano Flaminio. Demographic evolution. Main sites. Former Palazzo dei Monaci. Medieval clock tower, remodeled in the 18th century. Church of San Leone, which dates from the Lombard era. Lucus Feronii archaeological site. Transport. The closest practicable motorway and rail links with Rome lie around 5 and 8 kilometers to the east, respectively, on opposite sides of the Tiber. Via Provincial Capena Bivia connects the E35 Class A road with Capena. Culture. Art. The Lazio region has proclaimed Capena a città d'arte in recognition of its history and its many archaeological finds. The town is home to a small community of artists, notably Rosina Wachtmeister, who has frequently depicted the old quarter, and particularly its cats, in her work. Wachtmeister's daughter Gabriela is also a resident artist, and her grandson Batista is a ceramicist who has recently led a project to install mosaic benches and sculptures at various locations around the Old Quarter. The Art Forum Worth Capena opened in 2006, on the Via della Buona Fortuna, which runs parallel with the E35 near the eastern end of the Via Provincial Capena Bivia. Cuisine Capena has a large number of restaurants for a town of its size, both in the center and on the outskirts. Pizza is the most commonly served dish, but a few of the establishments specialize in the cuisines of other parts of Italy, such as Sardinia. Various local specialities are traditionally prepared for some of the feasts listed in the events section below, including serpentone, pangiolo, leporiccio and sposatola. The locally produced Bianco Capena is a slightly bitter wine that is straw yellow with a lightly fruity aroma. It is made with grapes from the Malvasia del Lazio, Trebbiano Toscano, Bellona and Bombino. Disambiguation needed. Vines. Events. All the main recurring events in Capena are ostensibly Roman Catholic religious celebrations. They include the following: the Feast of St. Anthony the Abbot, on the Sunday after the 17th of January, which consists of a procession in the saint's honor, the blessing of animals and much smoking by residents of all ages, formerly of dried rosemary and pipes but nowadays of cigarettes, although attempts have been made to discourage this practice. On the eve of this festival, local children carry the altar of St. Anthony from house to house, singing a traditional refrain and collecting donations. The Procession of the Dead Christ, on Good Friday, with participants wearing traditional black surplices and hoods and carrying the symbols of the Passion on silver plates in a procession. The Feast of St. Mark the Evangelist, on the 25th of April, at which the children of Capena traditionally receive their first communion. At the end of the religious ceremony, the participants proceed from the parish church to the little church dedicated to San Marco some distance from the village. The priest blesses the fields in the sacristy of the chapel, and also some special sweets made for the occasion known as leporiccio and sposatola. The Festival of Our Lady of the Assumption, which takes place on 13 to 15 August and is Capena's main annual event. The celebration takes a different form in Capena from that observed in most parts of Italy, as it is based on a symbolic reenactment of the story that Mary lost her son and searched for him for 3 days before the pair were emotionally reunited. The Feast of St. Michael the Archangel, on the 29th of September, which had its origins in the celebration of farming and agricultural trade, and is a market for livestock. Harvest Festival, on the first Sunday of October, which in Capena primarily celebrates the grape harvest and is accompanied by parades, floats, sideshows, carnival rides and vinous carousing. Luke the Evangelist, Capena's patron saint, is honored on the 18th of October with the administration of the sacrament of confirmation and a solemn procession with the participation of the Confraternity of the Blessed Sacrament. The Feast of St. Louis has been held here since the early 18th century.